Thus far, there has been 7 seasons of Ready to Love, if you include Ready to Love Last Resort as part of the 7 grouping, as we do. Now, we know that in January a new season is going to come out, so here's a list of things that we hope this show and series as a whole decides to keep, if not continue to develop, and some things that we hope it either makes drastic changes to or else eliminates. So the first thing we hope that it keeps and continues to develop is the transparency. For those who've been watching as long as we have, transparency hasn't always been part of the Ready to Love brand. Knowing who's in each other's tops is something that sometimes doesn't get well known until the end of the season, or at least toward the end of the season, when the getaway happens and then people in their face seeing that, oh, that's who you like and who you with, yet you talking sweet to me all night long, or texting me or calling me. Got it. But increasingly that hasn't been the case. For the most part, people only really talk about their tops when it came to, the lounge when people about to get eliminated. But between last season with that dinner truth or dare situation that put things in perspective, albeit unintentionally, and then this season, I believe season 7, episode 6, when Tommy decides to have an open forum, it seems that discussion amongst everybody and not just with your own gender is starting to really become a thing. And I hope more and more as the show goes on, it keeps that and puts that as part of the themed episodes that we get. So for the second thing, I think that should be kept and, still continue to evolve all the different themed episodes. Each season, we have a Date Who Isn't Your Type episode. We have an episode where you meet the friends, you meet the parents or family, and of course, the getaway episode. Now, I'm not necessarily fond of the Meet the Family one, especially if it's the parents, because this show takes place each season over 10 weeks. Meeting someone on week 8 when you still have you have another connection and you barely know this person, I think it's a little bit much. But I do appreciate all the other episode themes, because the getaway, as we've shown, could be a turning point for a lot of couples when they realize we don't get along well in groups, or you have a different connection who you have better chemistry with and I'm wasting my time. Or in some cases, people actually find a person that they should be with during the getaway episode. I wouldn't say it's common over the course of 7 seasons, but it has happened. I know at least happened once. I believe with Aisha. From season 6 or 5? I don't know offhand. Either way, it has happened, and that shows the value of the theme episodes in terms of not just knowing that person in a different environment beyond the one-on-one, but you now get to see how they act with other people. You get to see their circle, and if you could actually fit in with them in different situations. Can you go on trips with them and enjoy yourself? Can you be around their friends and family and not feel kind of like an outsider who's just an invited guest? This allows for a lot of different scenarios that really help solidify or else give people clarity. Now, in terms of things that should be changed, there's a much longer list of things that need to be kept. A part of me wants to start off with the casting, but I think that's pretty obvious at this point, because I feel like when it comes to casting, and okay, at this point we're just gonna make the first thing, the casting for me just seems strange. If it's not the case of having someone on who clearly is more so ready to date than ready to love, it's someone who seems to have the kind of baggage and issues where this whole process is definitely not for them. Either because they're not someone who likes to take the initiative when it comes to dating, or else the idea that their person, as they see it, has other interests is something that at best boggles their mind, but at worst makes them go a little bit crazy and get possessive. So, in terms of casting, I would hope they're not doing things but as a random thing like, hey, you seem nice, like you should be with somebody, but they're really thinking about, this person seems like with this group they can go well and at least have 3 or 4 potential matches and so on and so forth. That way they have a chance to actually enjoy the show while also bringing a little bit of drama. And speaking of matches, I think, at least for me, I think the show should kind of shift toward doing a ranked choice voting system with the ability to kind of put someone on a you can't eliminate them list. Because I keep thinking back to like earlier seasons, like with Stormy, with the preacher dude, how basically because no one else but her liked him, that's why he got eliminated. And that's kind of the dumbest thing about this show is that because you're not playing the field, that can put you up for elimination. You could have a full on, you could make it to the end, be one of the final three type of thing going. But because you're not talking to this person, that person, this person thinks that you stink because you never said a word to them, that can get you off the show. It makes absolutely no sense. So, in my mind, whoever your top pick is, they should be safe from elimination. Everybody else in your ranked choice voting system, they up for grabs to get taken out. And yes, I realize this could potentially cause problems because at the end of the day, this is a competition. Hence why people get eliminated. And I don't think it's just so that people make decisions. But either way, I'm hoping that the voting system changes. And so my last thing that I hope gets changed or eliminated would be Nephew Tommy. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion. I don't know. But I feel like Nephew Tommy's credentials as being married for 30 some odd years isn't really enough for the kind of group that they put on this show. I mean, it makes me think of the show Black Love, which is also on OWN, and how one of the people being interviewed said, you can't really take the advice of somebody else and how they love because how you love and they love is a completely different thing. Who you are loving and who they are loving is a completely different thing. So it's not always an apples to apples, apples to oranges type of thing. It can be so different that their advice cannot apply whatsoever. And I think more often than not, Tommy comes off more so toxic than he does come off helpful. At least based off of that whole Kimber situation from multiple seasons back when he's trying to push her to be with, I think his name was Jimmy, and clearly Jimmy ain't shit, and yet he's still trying to push this woman onto him. That, since seeing that, it made me have pause. And then when we got the other woman who got to be the reunion show host, what was her name? Oh, that's her name. Tanika Ray, who got to be the reunion host in season 5, I want to say. Light and day. Tommy, when he does the whole reunion show, it seems like he gets paid extra if he gets free couples in the end. And if some drama happens on stage, he's waiting for someone to talk into his ear to tell him to stop it. Otherwise, he's very much like Willy Wonka, who's like, no, stop, don't do it. Meanwhile, in the most recent season, AJAZ, I forgot what his name is going off on Cherise, cursing her out and everything, and all we see is Tommy just looking like he's mad that he doesn't have any popcorn, and not what's going on with people literally shouting past him. Now, what is the thing they can do to replace this or even change this? That's a bit harder to say. One could say getting somebody who actually has an education in intimacy, relationships, stuff like that, that would probably be the best bet. Or even have it where instead of replacing Tommy, have this person work with him. If not, be someone who acts in the capacity of, instead of, one of the final episodes being Meet the Parents, have someone step in and it be an episode about Meet the couples counselor, couples therapist, so that in some way it doesn't seem like this show is just purely about exploiting people who clearly don't have the best dating histories, and instead make it about where it's actually about ready to love someone rather than ready to date, ready to get someone's attention, or else ready to get your ego boosted a little bit. And then in the case of Tommy, ready to kind of poke at people's trauma from being on this show and exploit them further than they already have, with very little to gain from it besides whatever check they probably give them. And I just want to say, clearly with watching 7 seasons, recapping them, doing a whole ass character guide and all that, I like this show. The problem is, it's a show that, it takes baby steps forward, and you can tell that every now and then it tries to switch things up, like how in the past season it had people staggered in rather than all at once, but, it's kind of the unfortunate black tax which comes with a lot of shows like this. Because there's no other show that is like Ready to Love, which has a bunch of black people consistently each season who are professional life pretty much doing well, but personal life they don't have the relationship they want. it puts a heavy burden on the show to do it right and not feel exploitive in the process. And all I want is for Ready to Love to do better. I'm not saying it has to drastically change or that this should be canceled, but I just want it to be where it feels more like for me, Black Love gives you hope. In terms of Ready to Love, it makes you think, you know what, I'm better off single. And I'm hoping that in the future, especially because Black Love has ended and is not getting another season, I want Ready to Love to kind of step into that position of being hope rather than being detrimental to your prospects of feeling that you could actually find love in your life, especially as you get older.